We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. Ethan Caldwell had never been the suspicious type. A steady software architect from Colorado Springs. He built his life on structure, early jogs, lunches at 1 p.m., weekend pancakes, and his wife, Samantha. Married 10 years, with no children but a lifetime of routine. Their life was quiet. Predictable. Until it wasn't. It started subtly. Samantha stopped humming when she made her tea. Her kisses grew mechanical, her good nights clipped. One morning, Ethan reached to hug her before work. She pulled away, pretending to fix her scarf. Her smile hadn't touched her eyes in weeks. Then she announced her trip. A girls-only wellness cruise with her best friend Natalie, some yoga, some spa time, a break from routine. Just me and Natalie, she said, avoiding his eyes. He wanted to believe her. But that night, as the shower ran and steam filled their shared bathroom, Ethan stared at the navy suitcase on the bed. Her suitcase. She always overpacked, yet this one seemed light. His chest tightened. Against his nature, against every fiber of his respectful being, he unzipped it, and his world caved in. Inside, 2 black lace lingerie sets with tags still on, a bottle of almond-scented massage oil, and 2 unopened boxes of condoms. Ethan stared at them like they were explosives. No explanation. No excuses. Just there. Bold. Open. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He simply sat down, phone in hand, and called someone who had just as much to lose. Cameron. His voice was low, shaking. We need to talk. It's about Samantha and Natalie. The line went quiet. Then Cameron, Natalie's husband, whispered, You found something too? By dawn, they were parked across from the cruise terminal. Cameron's eyes were red-rimmed. He'd seen the same shift. Natalie withdrawing, longer showers, secretive texts, saying she needed to disconnect. Ethan showed him the photos. Cameron's jaw clenched. Together, they hatched a plan. Cameron booked a room under a different name on the same cruise. Ethan planted a GPS tracker inside Samantha's suitcase lining. They borrowed a long-range lens and a discreet audio recorder from an old friend. The mission wasn't confrontation. It was documentation. Proof. Clean and irrefutable. They watched from the terminal cafe as Samantha and Natalie arrived. Laughing, radiant, unburdened by guilt. 2 men flanked them. Strangers, yet far too familiar. One of them kissed Samantha. Deep, familiar, almost possessive. The other wrapped an arm around Natalie's waist. Ethan's hands trembled as he clicked the first photo. Cameron murmured beside him. They planned this while we were loving them. They boarded quietly. Different floors. No interaction. But one mission. Room 14A. That's where the GPS pinged. Samantha and Natalie shared a suite. The GPS confirmed it. The men, Jason and Cole, weren't on any emergency contact forms. But they were very present. From the observation deck, Ethan and Cameron took turns monitoring. Samantha wore a swimsuit Ethan had never seen. She was laughing freely. Jason pressed a cocktail to her lips, his hand sliding against her thigh. Natalie whispered something in Cole's ear, and he laughed as he kissed her neck. Cameron took clean footage, not just of them kissing, but of them mocking their husbands. She still thinks I'm in Utah with my sister, Natalie whispered. Jason replied, You really had them fooled. That night, while editing footage in the ship's internet lounge, a message came through to Cameron's burner phone. From Samantha. Wrong number. Can't believe how easy this was. Just 3 more nights, and we'll be free. Keep them dumb and loyal. You're a genius. Cameron said nothing, just handed the phone to Ethan. Ethan stared at the screen, the blood draining from his face. Samantha wasn't just cheating, she was gloating. And that changed everything. The silence in the cabin was deafening as Ethan sat with Cameron, both men staring at the screen as if the message could somehow rewrite itself. But it didn't. It stayed there, ugly, cruel, casual. Like betrayal was a game. Like they were fools for ever believing they were loved. Cameron stood up and walked to the window, fists pressed against the glass. She sent that thinking she was texting him. Like he's a genius for helping her lie to me. His voice cracked. She kissed our daughter goodbye yesterday. Ethan didn't respond. His mind was a storm. 10 years. 10 years of being the husband who remembered anniversaries, who rubbed her feet after her shifts, who didn't flirt with co-workers or forget to say, "I love you." He looked at the text again. 3 more nights. Dumb and loyal. "I say we blow it up tomorrow," Cameron muttered. "Not yet," Ethan said quietly. "Let them get comfortable. Let them believe they've won. Then we cut the brakes." They went quiet again. At 10:47 p.m., the hallway camera outside 14A caught Samantha in a silk robe letting Jason in. Ethan saved the footage. Cameron caught Natalie outside the bar balcony, whispering into Cole's neck, fingers tangled in his collar. They saved everything. By the next afternoon, they had over 6 hours of footage, dozens of photos, multiple audio clips, enough to destroy marriages, reputations, careers. But Ethan didn't just want destruction. He wanted exposure. Not anger, not vengeance fueled by violence, but a takedown so complete that Samantha would never look at a mirror again without remembering what she lost. That evening, the crews hosted a masquerade gala on the main deck. Music, masks, dancing, champagne. Perfect. Ethan watched Samantha waltz out in a golden mask, her hand laced with Jason's. Natalie followed in red, lips shimmering, clinging to Cole's arm like they belonged together. They toasted. They laughed. They posed for photos with other couples. Ethan approached the tech booth and handed the DJ a USB. "Play this," he said, "after the third song ends. I'll give you a nod. Is this like a proposal video or something?" "Something like that," Ethan replied, smiling darkly. The lights dimmed. The DJ dropped the beat, and Ethan waited. He watched Jason whisper something in Samantha's ear. She giggled. She leaned into him, her body pressed shamelessly close. Just 2 years ago, she cried on Ethan's shoulder because she couldn't get pregnant. Just a month ago, she said she'd never lie to him. And now she was holding another man like Ethan never existed. The music faded. The third song ended. Ethan nodded once. The screen behind the bar lit up. At first, people thought it was a slideshow, a couple's retreat montage, romantic clips. But then came the shots, Samantha and Jason's kiss outside the adults-only pool, Natalie straddling Cole on the beach chairs, the suitcase contents, the message, the voice recording, "Keep them dumb and loyal." And then, Samantha laughing, not even denying it, just laughing. A few guests gasped. Others began murmuring, "Wait, is that real? Oh my God, isn't that her?" Phones came out. Cameras flashed. Someone screamed. Jason turned, confused, then bolted as Samantha yelled, "Turn it off! Turn it off!" But the DJ had locked the USB file. It played through. No mercy. No pause. Natalie shouted something incoherent, storming toward the booth. But Cameron was there first. Calm, like a man who had been planning this move since the day his heart broke. He took the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Cameron. That's my wife, Natalie. And the other woman up there is Samantha, my best friend's wife. They told us they were on a meditation retreat. Said they needed to disconnect." He paused, eyes steady. Turns out they just needed an escape to cheat with strangers and mock the people who love them. Samantha shoved her way through the crowd. "You set me up. You stalked me." Ethan didn't flinch. "No, I trusted you. You set yourself up. You didn't cover your tracks, Samantha. You just got lazy." Natalie tried to slap Cameron. He caught her wrist midair. "You don't get to touch me anymore," he said. "You lost that right." Security arrived. They were escorted to their rooms, screaming, swearing, fighting. Jason and Cole disappeared, vanished the moment things got uncomfortable. And the guests, they clapped. Some cried. Some just stared, shocked, as if they'd been watching a movie and suddenly realized it was real. That night, Ethan stood on the balcony outside his new room. Alone, peaceful. The wind was warm. He thought he'd feel numb, but he didn't. He fell awake. Inside, his phone buzzed. A text from Cameron. "They're crying in their cabins. Natalie tried to beg me not to go public. I told her it's already done. We've won." Ethan didn't reply right away. He just watched the sea. Then he typed back, "We didn't win. We just stopped losing." 2 days later, the cruise docked at Port Everglades under perfect blue skies. The sunshine felt ironic, bright and cheerful, in sharp contrast to the wreckage that had settled over what remained of Samantha and Natalie's reputations. Ethan stepped off the ship carrying only a backpack. He didn't wait for Samantha. He didn't care where she went. He had already mailed her divorce papers, signed, notarized, clean. A message with no room for negotiation. Cameron stood at the terminal entrance with his brother waiting to pick him up. Natalie trailed behind with a stunned expression, trying to keep pace, muttering, "We can fix this. Please, I didn't mean to hurt you." He didn't answer her, and he didn't look back. Back in Colorado, Ethan moved fast. His lawyer had already prepared the paperwork. His house, which Samantha had insisted they remodel together just 6 months ago, was now stripped of anything that reminded him of her. No scented candles, no framed photos, no romantic trip souvenirs. Just clean space and silence. But silence, Ethan discovered, could be healing. For 2 weeks, Samantha tried to reach him. She called, emailed, sent voice notes that ranged from weeping apologies to bitter accusations. He didn't answer a single one. He forwarded every message to his attorney and deleted them from his phone. But he didn't delete the footage. He kept the folder, labeled it Truth, password protected, backed it up in 3 different places. Not for revenge anymore, but as a reminder that some lies are too cleanly spoken, that some wounds require scars to stop reopening. One morning, Ethan was having coffee on his porch when Samantha's mother pulled up. She stepped out slowly, holding a gift bag. He stayed seated. "Ethan," she said softly, "can we talk?" He said nothing. "I just want to say, I'm sorry. We didn't raise her to be like this. We didn't know what she had become." He took a sip from his mug. "She betrayed everyone," he said. "Not just me, but her own vows, her dignity." Her mother nodded. "I just want to tell you that we saw the video, and we don't blame you. We understand." He finally looked her in the eye. "I don't need you to understand," he said gently. "I just need peace." She nodded again, eyes glistening, and left without another word. Meanwhile, Cameron's story had taken an even more explosive turn. The footage from the cruise, blurred, edited, and re-uploaded to Reddit by another passenger, had gone viral. Not just for the drama, but for the method. People online were calling it the most respectful revenge of the year. Cameron's lawyer used that video as leverage in court. Natalie's public image was in shambles. Her employer, a luxury brand PR agency, suspended her pending investigation. Her position required discretion, family values, and trust. The footage alone broke every clause in her contract. Within a week, she was jobless. When she showed up at the first custody hearing with a new lawyer, the judge asked if she had anything to say regarding her conduct on the cruise. She tried to downplay it, claimed emotional vulnerability, said she made a mistake. Cameron, calm and composed, pulled out the transcript of the text. "Keep them dumb and loyal." That was the end of the hearing. He got full custody. Cameron's daughter, Lily, who once cried when Natalie left for business trips, now held her dad's hand tighter every time they walked into the park. "She doesn't ask for her anymore," Cameron told Ethan one night over a drink. "She just draws pictures of the two of us, smiling." They sat in silence for a while. Ethan looked out at the quiet road beyond the fence. "You ever think about what we did?" Cameron exhaled. "All the time. And I sleep better now than I have in years." The pain hadn't vanished, but it had turned into something else. Not bitterness, just clarity. That night on the ship hadn't been about making a scene. It had been about reclaiming their truth, standing in it, letting the liars drown in their own web. Still, the aftermath lingered. Ethan received an envelope in the mail one morning, a letter from Samantha. No return address. Inside, a note scribbled in shaky ink. "I lost everything. My job, my friends. Even my parents don't speak to me the same. You made sure of that. I know I don't deserve it. But if there's any part of you that still remembers what we were, please call me. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to stop. Samantha." He read it twice, then tore it in half, and tossed it into the fire. He had no intention of resurrecting ghosts. The story wasn't about Samantha anymore. It was about Ethan, and who he was becoming after the wreckage. The first woman Ethan spoke to after the divorce was his neighbor's sister, Monica, who'd recently moved in 2 houses down. It wasn't romantic, not at first. She asked if she could borrow his ladder. Then she brought over banana bread as thanks. Then they sat on his porch one evening, just talking about the neighborhood, about what kind of people still sent holiday cards, about how the world had gotten lonelier even with so much noise in it. She didn't know anything about Samantha, not at first, but she listened, really listened. When he finally told her, just the basics, not the scandalous parts, she looked at him and said, "It wasn't your fault. You know that, right?" And for some reason, that hit harder than all the apologies from Samantha's parents, all the social media comments praising his composure. He just nodded and blinked back something hot behind his eyes. "You're allowed to start over," Monica said. But Ethan didn't want to start over with another woman. Not yet. He wanted to start over with himself. He quit his job at the corporate firm, took on fewer freelance clients, spent more time cooking actual meals instead of microwaving whatever was quick. He bought new bedsheets, threw out the one Samantha had picked, painted the guest room a deep, calming blue. He started hiking again. He'd forgotten how quiet the woods were, how healing, how every step reminded him he was alive. Moving forward, not stuck. Meanwhile, Samantha had been trying to rebuild her image. She posted filtered photos on Instagram with long captions about healing and owning your truth. But most of her followers didn't buy it. Comments were limited. Likes were low. Rumors said she tried to apply for jobs at smaller firms, but couldn't shake the association with the cruise story. Ethan never checked directly, but friends told him. He didn't laugh. He didn't gloat. He just didn't care anymore. Cameron, on the other hand, was flourishing. He'd enrolled Lily in a private school with a flexible parent schedule and started a small marketing agency from home. His Instagram was full of hikes, crafts, and homemade pancakes. Natalie, he told Ethan once, tried to get supervised visitation, but the court denied it pending psychiatric evaluation. Apparently, the therapist she'd seen reported manipulative patterns and externalization of guilt. That hurt Cameron, he admitted. He hadn't wanted to completely destroy her, just protect their daughter. She was a great mom once, he said. Before all of this. Before whatever changed. She chose the change, Ethan said. Yeah, Cameron replied. That's the part that still burns. One evening, a knock came at Ethan's door. It was Samantha. Her face was thinner, eyes swollen like she hadn't been sleeping. "I'm not here to fight," she said. He didn't say a word, just stepped aside. She didn't sit. She didn't wander. She just stood in the living room, arms folded tightly across her chest like she was holding herself together. "I came to say something to your face," she said, "because texts and voicemails and letters clearly meant nothing to you." "They didn't." "Fair," she whispered. "I deserve that." He waited. She looked around. "It's weird. I thought coming back here would make me feel like it used to. But it doesn't. It's like someone else's house now." "It is." She nodded slowly. "Then, I was so stupid. And reckless. And angry at things that had nothing to do with you." Ethan crossed his arms. "You weren't just angry. You were cruel. You laughed at me. Called me stupid. You made me feel like I was disposable." She looked down. "I know." He stepped closer. Not angry, just steady. "What did you think would happen? That I'd fall apart and come running when you cried?" "No," she whispered. "I guess I just hoped you'd see how lost I was." "You weren't lost. You made a map and followed it straight to hell." That silenced her. Finally, she pulled something from her purse. A small white envelope. "What is that?" "My final attempt at closure," she said. "It's the annulment agreement. Clean. No contest. I signed it." He didn't reach for it. Not yet. She walked to the door, then paused. "You were the best thing in my life," she said softly. "And I broke it. I broke you. I don't know if I'll ever stop regretting that." He said nothing. Just watch her leave. When the door closed, he finally exhaled, like a weight that had been pressing down for years, finally lifted off his spine. He opened the envelope. It was real. Signed. Witnessed. Final. Done. That night, he poured himself a glass of wine and stood out on the porch. Monica came by a few minutes later with her dog, Riley, tugging on the leash. "You okay?" she asked. He smiled. "Yeah, actually, I think I am." They walked the block together, Riley sniffing bushes, the air crisp and calm. Monica didn't ask what happened, and Ethan didn't need to tell her, because sometimes the best part of moving on isn't sharing what broke you. It's realizing you no longer need to explain why you're whole again. 6 months had passed. Ethan stood in the mirror and barely recognized himself, not because of how he looked, but because of how he felt. Lighter, not in the careless sense, but in a way that made him feel free from the gravity of someone else's choices. His mornings no longer started with checking Samantha's location or waiting for an apology that never came. They started with strong coffee, music that made him feel something, and long walks through the hills before logging into work. He'd taken on a new contract, remote work, flexible hours. And instead of chasing promotions or corporate prestige, he was chasing peace. His therapist had told him, forgiveness isn't a gift you give someone else. It's the key to the door you lock behind them. He wasn't sure he forgave Samantha, but he'd locked that door. And every day, he walked further away from it. Monica became a consistent presence in his life. Still not romantic. Not yet, but full of honest conversations and quiet company. She didn't pry. She didn't need to fix him. She just made space for him to breathe. One evening, they were sitting in his backyard watching the sky turn lavender and gold when she asked, "Do you ever wish you could go back and erase it all?" He thought for a moment, then shook his head. "If I did, I wouldn't be here. And I like here." Monica smiled. "Me too." Meanwhile, Cameron had one full custody of Lily with 0 visitation rights to Natalie, following a final hearing where the judge reviewed everything: footage, testimony, psychological evaluations. Cameron's restraint had impressed the court. His discipline, his choice to expose the truth without violence, without vengeance. When the judge asked him why he didn't fight back sooner, Cameron simply said, "Because the truth fights better than I ever could." Natalie eventually moved states. Rumor had it she was working in a non-client-facing role at a small firm that didn't care about past headlines. She sent Lily birthday cards through the lawyer. Cameron never opened them. He gave them to Lily when she was old enough to understand that love, real love, doesn't come with lies wrapped in pretty envelopes. As for Samantha, Ethan hadn't heard from her again. Not a single message since that last visit. But one afternoon, he got notification. A social media tag. Someone had posted an anonymous submission to a blog about heartbreak. The story was unmistakably hers. About a woman who destroyed a decade-long marriage in 3 days of fantasy and woke up in the ruins of everything real. She didn't name names. She didn't ask for sympathy. She just wrote, "If I could tell him one thing, it would be this. You weren't the fool. I was. Because I mistook a steady heart for a boring one." Ethan read it once, and then he closed the tab and went on with his day. Because healing wasn't about her anymore. It was about the life he was building after her. Later that year, Ethan hosted Thanksgiving for the first time. Just a small group. Monica, Cameron, Lily, and 2 co-workers who didn't have family nearby. It wasn't grand. It wasn't loud. It was full of warmth. He carved the turkey while Lily showed Monica her drawing of Uncle Ethan's house, complete with a big smiling sun over a little blue porch. And in that moment, as laughter echoed in the room, Ethan realized something. The greatest revenge wasn't public humiliation. It wasn't a viral video. It wasn't even proving her wrong. It was surviving. It was healing. It was rebuilding something she could never break again. And most of all, it was being happy, quietly, completely, unapologetically.